This conference will now be recorded.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Let's start with the name of Nur Maulana Shah Karimul Husaini Hazir Imam. Hazir Imam, Hazir Imam. Ya Maulay Mehrban, Madad Farma, Tawfiq, Tahid, Himmat wa Yari. Tawfiq, Tahid, Himmat wa Yari. या मौलाए मेहरबान हमारी मदद फरमा ताकि हम कुछ इल्म का काम कर सके। वो सवालात और वो चीजें जो हम नहीं जानते हैं मौला, उसको हम आराम से सुनकर समझकर हजम करके उस पर अमल कर सके मौला, क्योंकि तेरा इल्म जो बहुत ही मुश्किल है और तेरा वो इल्म जो बातिनी इल्म है, उसको समझना हमारे लिए कभी कभार मुश्किलात पैदा करता है। लेकिन तेरी मेहरबानी हो मौला, तेरी रहमत हो, तेरी दुआ आशीष हो, तो फिर ये काम हम गरीबों के लिए आसान हो जाता है। तो तेरे हुजूर में दुआ है मौला, हमें तौफीक, ताहीद, हिम्मत व यारी इनायत फरमा। आज हम अपने सीरीज ऑफ लेक्चर Centrality of Imam in Ismaili Tariqa, and today is part 6. The topic for the today is Imam Zaman Sahib Shariat. सबसे पहले, let's try to understand the topic, the title. Imam Zaman, the Imam of the time. Why did I say, or why did we not say the name of the Imam Nur Maulana Shah Karimul Husaini Hazir Imam, but instead we are using the word Imam Zaman, which is a very familiar term in our tariqah. Amongst all the religions of the world, then all of the different sects of Islam, all of the different branches of Shia tariqah, there is only one, and one only uniquely, are the Ismaili tariqah, which can say in any time and age that there is a living guide, there is a Imam Zaman present. दुनिया के तमाम मज़ाहिब के अंदर, इस्लाम के तमाम ब्रांचेस के अंदर, शिया के तमाम अलग-अलग बिलीफ्स के अंदर, इस्माइली ही एक ऐसे हैं जो ये कह सकते हैं कि हमेशा हर हमेशा हमारे पास ज़माने का हादी इमाम ज़मान मौजूद होता है. The core and the principle of Ismaili tariqa. इसीलिए टॉपिक इमाम ज़मान रखा गया, ना कि इमाम के नाम क्योंकि जो भी जमाना है उस जमाने के इमाम के ऊपर ये बात लागू होगी. So whatever time may be, the word, the term Imam Zaman applies. The second part of the topic, Sahibe Shariat, the Lord of the law of religion. Lord of the law of religion. Sahibe Shariat. Why this as a topic? Because Imam of the time, Imam Zaman, is the one who sets the law according to the time and place. Let me explain what is the difference between time and the place. If you all remember, just a short while back, at the time of our 49th Imam, Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah Alayhi, may our soul be sacrificed to that Imam. In his time, we had a Gujarati dua, Sindhi dua, in the Indo-Pak Khoja Jamaat, and the Arabic dua or namaz in other parts of the world. The Betul Khayal and the time of the Ibadat was different in the Khoja Jamaat compared to Greater Badakhshan Jamaat. What are these examples? That Imam Zaman sets the law of the religion, the Shariat, not only according to the time, but also according to the place. There are majalis which are observed in one side of the world and may not be observed in the other side of the world. There are majalis may be observed in one country, but not the other countries. Imam Zaman decides, he and him only. The Imam of the time is the only one who can change the matter of the religion, whatever that may be. If Imam ever comes and say that we should not do our 3-time dua, then there is no question, so be it. Because Imam's farman, Imam's word are the final words. When we take the bayah, there are some words which are uttered and believed. And what are those? That we will follow the Imam of the time unconditionally. You know, sometimes we feel or we think that we can decide what to do when it comes to the matter of the religion. Yes, with your free will, you can do that. But you and I cannot set or change any matter of the religion. It is the Imam, he and he only changes. Let's take some of the example from our past. What does it mean, Shariat? What are the Shariat in our tariqah? Even at the level of Hakikat, where we sit today, and we are at the level of Hakikat today, we have certain Shariat in our tariqah. And I will explain a little bit more what does it mean, Shariat, when we are in time of Hakikat. There is a small portion of Shariat regardless of the time and place. When there was the Dore-Shariat, the period of Shariat, the Shariat was in a large portion of our practice of our tariqah. So let's say 75% was the Shariat, other 25% was the tariqat, the hakikat, and the marifat. So what is the one thing you notice? All four stages of tariqah of a religion are always there, just the portion and the implication changes. थोड़ा उर्दू में मैं आपको इसको समझा दूं कि जब हम कहते हैं कि शरीयत, तो क्या मतलब है, जबकि आज हम दौरे हकीकत में है। शरीयत हर हमेशा हर तरीके हर रिलीजन में मौजूद होती है और हमारे तरीके में भी हर हमेशा मौजूद होती है, लेकिन टाइम के लिहाज से शरीयत का जो हिस्सा है वो बदलता रहता है। एग्जाम्पल दी गई कि दौरे शरीयत के जमाने में शरीयत का एक बहुत बड़ा हिस्सा होता है। एग्जाम्पल के तौर पर 75% शरीयत और बाकी 25% जिसके अंदर तरीकत, हकीकत और मार्फत रहती है। लेकिन चारों मजहब के जो दर्जात है वो साथ में रहते हैं। क्या चीज चेंज होती है? उसका हिस्सा बदलता रहता है कि हम क्या कितना प्रैक्टिस करेंगे। Then we come into time of tariqat. The Shariat portion goes down to 50%, just for an example. Tariqat comes in play, 25%, and then Hakikat and Marfat remains between those two at 25%. तो आपने देखा कि शरीयत है, तरीकत भी है, हकीकत भी है, मारिफत भी है, लेकिन जमाने के लिहाज से उसका हिस्सा बदलता रहता है। Then comes the time of hakikat. The Shariat portion goes down to about 25%. Tariqat remains at 25%. Hakikat comes into play at 25% also. These are just example. And then Marifat is also and always there. And in the time of Hakikat, let's say for example, it's also 25%. But Shariat remains even at the time of Hakikat. Tariqat is there even in time of Hakikat. And of course, in time of Hakikat, the portion of Hakikat is much bigger compared to time of Shariat and time of Tariqat. Along with the Hakikat, Marifat का जो portion है वो भी ज़्यादा बड़ा हो जाता है, क्योंकि from the Hakikat it is much easier to get into the Marifat. So now if we come back to the topic, today's topic, Imam-e-Zaman, Sahib-e-Shariat. It is Imam-e-Zaman who can change the Shariat. Sometime, and I'm not going to talk about the people outside the Jamaat. Within our Jamaat, the Jamaat has question. Why don't we do what we did 100 years ago? Why don't we do what we did 700 years ago, 1,000 years ago? Why don't we do what we did in the time of Prophet Muhammad? Peace be upon him. This question will never come to mind if we understand the concept of Imam Zaman, Sahib Shariat. If Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam can come as soon he is given the prophecy, the prophethood, he changes the Shariat of Hazrat Isa and he changes the Shariat of Hazrat Musa and he changes the Shariat of Hazrat Ibrahim. If he have done that in the past, because he was the Sahib Shariat in his respected time, then what does that tell us? The Sahib Shariat has complete control over what Shariat we follow. What is required for us in this time and age, and of course the place. साहिब शरीयत ज़माना और जगह के लिहाज से हमें हिदायत करता है. Whatever Shariat Hazrat Adam had brought, Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam changed. He may have kept some and changed the other. If you remember at the beginning of our basic concept sessions, we had talked about that there are two kinds of Shariat. Shariat Ilahi, the laws of the Lord Allah, and Shariat Nabawi, the laws of the prophets. Which one does not change ever, regardless of place and time? Shariat Ilahi does not change. It remains the same. What are Shariat Ilahi? Pray, remember, do good, be good to others, do not kill, do not lie, help others. Shariat Ilahi never changes. Then Shariat Nabawi, the Prophet tells us how to pray, when to pray, and where to pray. And that can be modified and changed. As the example we were just giving, the Shariat of Adam was changed by Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, and his Shariat was changed by Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, and his Shariat was changed by Hazrat Musa alayhi salam. It is not necessary that they change it 100% completely, but they are Sahib Shariat and they have the Amr, the power to change it. And they do change. The essence does not change. The format can be changed according to time in place. Let's take another example. When Allah said, you must pray and remember, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, how many times, how, and where? 5 times, let's say, for example. And then it was changed as we move forward. And now we have the same Shariat Ilahi, the Amr to pray and remember. The format changed, essence did not change. Essence does not change, format changes according to time and place. Let's come to our very first farman to see what we are saying today. Does Imam have a farman of that? 1948, 29 August, Dar es Salaam. Farman of Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah Alayhi says regarding the changes of our practices. In fact, all Ismaili institutions and customs are meant to be temporary, and that is why Ismaili believes in Hazar Imam. Remember, Imam is the man? Hazar Imam. To vary according to the circumstances of their spiritual and higher life. This is the fundamental difference between Ismailis and other Muslims. This faith of an ever living guide. I will read the last paragraph in a minute. The point here, those who does not have Sahibe Zaman, Imam Zaman, Sahibe Shariat, can their Shariat change? Of course, the answer would be no. Why does their Shariat does not change? Because they do not have Imam Zaman, Sahibe Shariat to change it. Because Shariat only can be changed who is with the Amr of Allah to change. Amr Ilahi is required. Ulil Amr is the one who can change the Shariat. So Mullah says, all of the Shariat, all of the practices, all of the institution, all of the customs, rites and rituals, matter of fact, are temporary and meant to be changed according to time and place. And that's why it is fundamental difference between our tariqah and other branches of Islam, other sects of Islam, that we have a ever living guide, so he can, according to the time and our need in the place, he can change what he needs to change to uplift our soul and our intellect. Mullah further says, even in my imamat of 63 years, many faramins, guidance, and advice have fundamentally been different to the former farmans, guidance, and advices. I remember 2 of the faramin, one from 48 Jama and one from 49 Jama. Meaning one from Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah Alayhi, may our soul be sacrificed to the Imam, and one from our current Imam, Nur Maulana Shah Karim al-Hussaini Hazir Imam Salatullah Alayhi. Sultan Muhammad Shah said, in his time, when a girl turned 14 and boy turned 18, then they should get married. What did Mola Baba said? Even if you are 35-year-old, until you are mature and you are on your own 2 feet, do not get married. You see the difference between two immediate Imams? I mean, within a short period of time, guidance changes according to the time and the place. An Imam has the full authority to make the changes. We were talking about how some of our brother and sister still have questions. Why do we not do what we did 100 years ago, or 600 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, or 1,400 years ago? How come we don't do what our other brothers and sisters do in Islam? This question only arises because we forget. And what do we forget? The principle of Imam Zaman and Sahibe Shariat. And today's topic is to understand that. When we forget that it is the Imam Zaman who is the one decides and gives us the Amr, the Farman, what to do and what not to do. When at the time of Qiyamah in the Al-Maut, when Imam says, break the fast, break the fast. There were Murid and Mu'mineen questioned Imam, and some refused to follow the Farman of the Imam. At the time of Mullah Ali in Jang-e-Safin, when Mullah Ali said, I am the speaking Quran, stay with me, the Jamaat, the follower, refused to follow the Imam and sat on the sideline, became Kharji. Because they forget the principle of Imam Zaman. And what is that? He is the Sahibe Shariat. With his one Farman, with his one Amr, he can change the Shariat, the customs, the rites, the ritual. Imam in Hazir Jama says that I am the one who can change the matters of the tariqah, and then he says, but remember, the core does not change. Core remains, the form around it changes. Just like the Nur never changes, the body of the Imam changes. Let's come to our second reference. Mullah in this current Jama says, remember also that with regard to the interpretation of our faith, that which is batin is batin, and which is zahir is zahir. What does it mean? What is batin is batin? The essence, the core, the principle never changes. What is Zahir is Zahir. What are customs and that can be changed. Let's go a little bit further in this Farman. Remember that this is the fundamental and this is the Farman. Sometimes we think if Imam is not in a darbar in the didar setting, then what Imam says is not a Farman. To Murid and Momin, Imam's every word, regardless of the time and the place, is a Farman for the followers. Mullah says, remember that this is fundamental and this is the Farman which I have given to you today, and I wish that there should be no confusion. This was in Damascus, meeting with the leaders at the Sheraton Hotel, 1980. It was not in the Darbar or the Dar setting, but clear Farman to the leaders to bring it to the Jamaat. Let's move forward. We remember this from our part 2. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu ati'ullah wa ati'ur rasul wa ulil amr minkum. Imam Zaman is the one with the Amr. We say this 3 times a day, every day. But when it comes to the Farman and the following the Farman, sometimes we forget that Imam is the one with the Amr. His words and his Farmans are the final words and final Amr for the Mu'mineen, for the followers. In that case, we should not have any question. Why don't we follow this or that? What our other brothers and sisters do. How come we don't do that? The question should be the other way around. याद रखें कि जब हम कहते हैं कि हम वो क्यों नहीं करते हैं जो हमारे दूसरे मुस्लिम ब्रदर एंड सिस्टर करते हैं, ये सवाल एक्चुअली दूसरी तरफ से होना चाहिए कि वो क्यों नहीं करते हैं जो खुदा का अमर इमाम ज़मान कहता है. सवाल ये होना चाहिए कि वो क्यों नहीं करते हैं जो खुदा का अमर इमाम ज़मान कहता है और फरमाता है. ये कभी भी सवाल नहीं होना चाहिए कि हम वो क्यों नहीं करते हैं जो वो करते हैं, क्योंकि उनके पास जमाने का अमर, उलिल अमर, इमाम ज़मान, साहिब शरीयत नहीं है. उनके पास कोई चॉइस नहीं है. उनको वही शरीयत फॉलो करनी है जो उन्होंने हजारों सैकड़ों साल कबल हासिल की थी. They must follow what they had been given in the old age, in the time and the place 1400 years ago. The question should be, how come they do not follow what Imam of the time, the Sahib Shariat, is saying today? That should be the question. I hope I'm making my point very, very clear. In the Quran, you will find 25 prophets. What is the reason for this chart? To show that prophets in their respected time and Imams in their respected time are the Sahibe Amr. And people, believers, have followed the prophets and the Imams of their time, and those are the only one who have followed, have moved forward spiritually and intellectually. I'm not talking about the physical world, but I'm talking about the spiritually progress and spiritually and intellectually progress. Batini and Nurani elevation की मैं बात कर रहा हूं. Out of this 25 prophets, there were 6 Sahibe Shariat. There were 6 Natikin who brought their own Shariat. And those were Hazrat Adam, Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam, Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi salam, Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, Hazrat Isa alayhi salam, and Hazrat Muhammad Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wasallam. Those were the 6 Sahibe Shariat of 6 large period in Islam. You notice I said Islam because Islam did not start with Prophet Muhammad. Islam was the religion of Allah from the day one with Adam. Let me explain. Whoever did not follow the Shariat and the Sahibe Shariat when Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam came, what did they leave? Did they left Adam or did they left Islam? Think about it. Today's session is very important and I'd like to challenge your mind. आज का सेशन में मैं आपकी अक्ल को चैलेंज करना चाहता हूं कि वो लोग जो हजरत नूह अलैहि सलाम के जमाने में हजरत नूह ने जो शरीयत लाई थी उसको नहीं माना, तो उन्होंने आदम को छोड़ा था उसकी शरीयत ना मानकर या इस्लाम को छोड़ा था? What do you think? I'll let you ponder on this for a minute. And then came Hazrat Ibrahim. He brought his own law and the Shariat. Those who did not follow the Sahibe Shariat, Hazrat Ibrahim and his Shariat, did they leave Hazrat Noah and Hazrat Adam, or did they leave the Islam altogether? Because remember, there is only one religion of Allah from the day one, and that is Islam. Then came Hazrat Musa alayhi salam, and he brought his own Shariat. And those who did not follow his Shariat, who did they leave? Did they leave the Abrahamic tradition and his Shariat? Or by not following Hazrat Musa, actually they left the Islam, the Deen Fitrat, the religion of Allah. And then came Hazrat Isa, and he brought his own Shariat. And people refused to follow. And when they refused to follow, did they leave the Shariat of Musa and Ibrahim, or did they leave the Islam altogether? And then came Huzur Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and he brought the Shariat Nabawi, the Shariat Muhammadi, and those who did not follow his Shariat in his time, did they leave Hazrat Isa and his Shariat? Did they leave Hazrat Musa and his Shariat? Did they leave Hazrat Ibrahim and his Shariat? No. But now following the Shariat Nabawi, Shariat Muhammadi, they left the Islam altogether. I'm trying to make a point here, and that is, when we do not follow the Shariat Sahib Shariat, Imam Zaman, because Islam is living with Sahib Shariat, with Imam Zaman. Islam is living with Sahib Shariat, Imam Zaman. Islam has continued. Islam has progressed, have moved forward, and so has guidance, and so has Shariat. इस्लाम आज भी जिंदा है इमाम ज़मान के साथ, और इमाम ज़मान ही के साथ जो साहिब ज़मान भी है, साहिब शरीयत भी है, और वो अपने इस वक्त में अपने शरीयत को बदलने का मालिक है. So we will stop here. This is the topic of Imam Zaman Sahib Shariat in our tariqah, where Imam is always living and where Amr of the Imam is the final word. And there is no question why we don't follow the previous Shariat. Because Imam Zaman is the one who can tell us and who does guide us towards the current time and the current Shariat. So let me stop here. I did promise that I will explain what does it mean that we have a little bit Shariat left in our tariqah today. Even though our Shariat is the batin of the Shariat Muhammadi, 3-time dua, is the batin of the Shariat of 5-time namaz. The son is the batin of the Shariat Muhammadi and the zakat as he had assigned in his time. Our remembrance and practices are in line with Shariat Nabawi in the modern form. Our Roza, the Roza Batin, in the core is still present in the modern and at the form of the Hakikat, not at the form of Shariat.
Right?
So everything is present in our tariqah in a different form, in a higher form. Because as a student moves on to the higher level classes in school and goes to university, the core of the principles remains, but the books and the lesson plan changes with the grades. The higher the grade, the higher the books and knowledge and talimat. So let me stop here and we can see if there is any question or any comments Anyone like to ask? Ji.
Subhanallah, sir. Subhanallah, sir. So we have one question. So we have one question from the chat. So the friend is asking, what is the interpretation of Ulil Amr in the wider Muslim Ummah?
Ji. Because the batin of the Quran and the interpretation, the understanding of Quran also lies with the Imam Zaman, and therefore when they read this sorts of ayat in the Quran, mostly they take this back to 1400 years, and they do not understand the concept of Ulil Amr, even though in ayat it clearly says Ulil Amr is amongst you, but they take it back into the old time, number one. Number two, they will say those leaders, the selected or the elected leader, are the Ulil Amr, and that's why we have hundreds and thousands of self-proclaimed Ulil Amr. When Allah has said the Ulil Amr are selected by Allah Himself, and that is in Ayah Is-Safa, Surah number 3, Ayat number 33. Allah says, I have chosen the Adam. I have chosen Hazrat Nuh alayhi salam. I have chosen the Ibrahim and Ale Ibrahim, and I have chosen Imran and the Ale Imran, the Imams of the time. So the Ulil Amr are selected and chosen by Allah, not by the people or self-proclaimed leaders who claim to be something which are not chosen by the Imam, Allah Himself. Ji.
So we have another question. Is there a reference in the Holy Quran that indicates that guidance by Imam will change with changing time?
Yes, very easy. Look at the ayah. तो आपका सवाल था कि कुरान से कोई रेफरेंस कि हर हमेशा शरीयत बदलती रहती है, उसके लिए कुरान के अंदर आया फितरत को देखें। आया फितरत जिसका रेफरेंस सूरा 33 और आयत नंबर 33 है, सॉरी सूरा रोम आयत नंबर 30, सूरा रोम आयत नंबर 30, आया फितरत कि खुदावंद ताला ने अपनी आदत लोगों के नेचर पे रखी हुई है, and the nature of the human is to constantly change. For example, they are born as a baby, then they are constantly growing and changing. Look at the environment, constantly changing. Everything around us, constantly changing. That is the nature of Allah, and Islam sits on the nature of Allah. Islam is a dynamic religion which sits on the nature of Allah, and Allah's nature is to constantly change. Ji.
Yali Madad.
Yali Madad.
Muhammad Raya. Okay, I've got one question. Okay.
Ji.
When we say Shariat Imam Ismai, okay, so what is that? That is a guidance. Guidance is basically the firmans of Maulana Hazrat Imam Ismai, okay? Now, Imam-e-Zaman, if he has not made certain commands relating to certain topics, does it mean that we should follow the previous Imam's guidance on that?
Yes. Yes, definitely. And let me give you a farman for that. So there is actually two faramin. One of Imam Aka Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah Alayhi, which have said that if I give you a farman today, and then if I do not give you another farman to change it, then you remain on the previous farman. But if I give you a different farman today, then you will leave the old farman and follow my new farman. In Hazrat Imam, in his Tagnashini in 1957, have said that your 48th Imam and my grandfather has guided the Jamaat, and I will follow and I will do my best to follow on the footstep of my grandfather. If Hazrat Imam is saying he will do his best to follow on the footstep of his grandfather, then what our job should be? Our job should be to follow the previous Imam if Hazrat Imam has not overseen a farman. So I remember I gave you an example of a farman about the marriage. Hazrat Imam has changed the dua from the previous Imam's dua. Sultan Muhammad Shah in his 1954 had made the dua, the format that we see today. But in that dua from 54 to 58, the first changes was made. From 58 to 68, 4 more changes were made in the dua. So, because Imam is the Ul Amr, whatever changes he makes are the final changes. Up until that point, and I'll give you a couple of more examples. Up until that point, you're supposed to follow the previous Imam. For example, Hazrat Imam in his current Jama have never given any farman for the son. Never. Not a single farman on the son of Hazrat Jama. 63 years. So what do? We still remember and we are still following the farman of the son of our previous Jama. Do we see? And then in the Pir Pindyat Jawambadi, Imam Mustansibullah II has given us the farman about the Roza and Ramzan. And no other Imam said anything until Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah Alayhi reformed the 365 days Roza and the Batini Roza, which is Farz in our Tariqah, not the Zahiri Roza. Then Hazrat Imam have not said anything about it. So what do? For the affirmation, we look at the Sultan Muhammad Shah Farman. For the confirmation and initial hukam, the Farman sits with Imam Mustansibullah II. And original of that sits with Imam Allah Zikri Salam almost 1,000 years ago. Do we see that? We go back and back until we find the foundation for something, and then affirmation with each Imam, if there is one available to us. Ji.
I've got another question. Now Maulana Sultan Muhammad Shah, there was a farman. He said that you can't give money on mortgage. So, and on that one, there is a strict farman on that. that you will never be forgiven on that. But now the business is mortgage. All the time we have a lot of mortgages going on. Even our institution, Jubilee Insurance Company, when I was in Kenya, we were giving out mortgages to people. Diamond Trust, we were giving out mortgages to people. So હવે વ્યાજ લેવું આપણા માટે is it haram છે still, or because Azimam has never made any firman to that effect?
So let me refer you to Kalame Imam Mubin, Faramin by Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah Salawatullah Alayhi, the one you just quoted to me. It's Farman number 7 and 8. And if you read that Farman very carefully, you will find amazing words. Imam says, do not overcharge interest to your deen by other Ismailis. Let me repeat the words, because sometimes we forget because it's an old Farman. Do not overcharge interest to your deen by the Ismaili brothers. That is the Farman.
But see, today the mortgage business is just...
Does that answer your question?
Mortgage business is just you charge one viage to everybody, because you cannot differentiate charging less to your own brothers and sisters, that is Ismaili brothers and sisters, and you charge more to others. Then it is basically a wrong thing to do, because that the government will not accept at the moment. All right. Now, if somebody has that business, and just like, you know, those people, when you go to take cash from those, these places, and they charge you interest on that. And that interest is always very heavy. Okay, they charge you a lot of interest, but they charge to everybody the same. Even it can be Ismaili brothers and sisters or others, because it has to be irrespective to who are there. You still have to charge the same. You can't differentiate between Ismailis and other people as well.
So my answer remains the same. Mullah says, do not overcharge. Do not overcharge. So what you told me, are you overcharging Ismaili compared to others? Your answer is no, I'm sure. If that is the case, then this question is null and voided. And let me remind the words again, and I would encourage you to read that Farman. Kalam Imam Mubin, Farman number 7 and 8. Do not overcharge. Underline word is overcharge.
You are right. Thank
and
you.
I'm sure if you or any Ismaili in the interest business, they will not look at Ismaili and say, oh, this is my Ismaili brother, let me overcharge him. Right? So we have to understand the Farman and read it very, very carefully. G.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I got my answer now.
G. Thank you. Kamlesh, have any other questions or comments?
No, there are no questions in the chat room.
I hope to understand today's subject, I would recommend humbly to listen to all 5 previous lectures, so you can see where did we start the centrality of Imam in Ismaili Tariqa, and how did we get to this point of the Imam Zaman and Sahib Shariat. Inshallah, we will continue this for 2 more weeks before the 11th of July, and inshallah, we will learn and understand our tariqa and the centrality of Imam in our tariqa. So may Mullah be with us, and may Mullah be happy with us, inshallah ta'ala. Thank you, everybody. Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad.
Ya Ali Madad, sir.
Ya Ali Madad, Ya Ali Madad.